Hello, in this question, we are told use completing the square method to solve 3x squared plus 8x minus 6 is equals to 0. Then give your answer correct to three significant figures. So let's start. So we have the equation as 3x squared plus 8x minus 6, and this is equals to 0. Now, to complete the square, we need to ensure that this coefficient of x is 1. So to do that, we are going to divide through each term by 3. So we say divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. So by 3, 1, by 3, we are left with x squared. So the first term there becomes x squared. Then the second one is 8 over 3x. And then by 3, this is 1. By 3, this is negative 2. So this becomes minus 2. And all this is equals to 0, since 0 divided by 3 is 0. Okay. Now we are ready to complete the square. To complete the square, what do? You take this coefficient of x, you divide it by 2, then you square the result, and whatever you get, you will add and subtract it from this left side of the equation, right? So let's first of all start with the inner calculations. So I've said you take the coefficient of x, you divide it by 2. Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by half. Then you square. So whatever you get after all this, you're supposed to add and subtract from this left side of the equation. So by 2, this is 1. By 2, this is 4. So this is just 4 out of 3 squared. So let's leave it in this format for now. Okay. So now the equation becomes x squared. The second term was 8 over 3x. But now before the negative 2, let's add this term. So plus 4 out of 3 squared. So we have added it. Then now let's minus the same term. So minus 4 out of 3 squared. And then now let's proceed with our negative 2. So minus 2, and this is equals to 0. So you see, it's not like we have changed the equation in a major way, or rather the sum of the equation, because we have added and subtracted the same term. But what has changed is that these first 3 terms are now a square. So this is the same as doing x plus this term right here. So x plus 4 out of 3 squared. So all these terms now collapse to a square. It's why this method is called completing the square method. And then now we can we can proceed. So minus 4 out of 3 squared is the same as we have to square the numerator first, and then we square the denominator. So 4 squared, that's going to give us 16 over 3 squared, that's going to give us 9. And then we have minus 2, and we are saying this is equals to 0. Now, this is the same as 2 over 1. So let's take care of these terms. So the LCM of 9 and 1, that's going to be 9. 9 divided by 9, that's 1. 1 times negative 16, that's going to give you negative 16. 9 divided by 1, 9 times negative 2, that's going to give you negative 18. To the left, since we have taken care of the minus, now this becomes plus. Then we have x plus 4 out of 3 squared, and this is all equals to 0. So negative 16 minus 18, that becomes negative 34 over 9. And then on the left, we still have x plus 4 out of 3 squared. And then we have plus there, and this is equals to 0. So plus and negative, that gives you, that's just a negative. So this is the same as minus 34 out of 9. Then we have x plus 4 out of 3 squared, this is equals to 0. Now, let's take this 34 out of 9 to the right side. So on the left, we remain with x plus 4 out of 3 squared is equals to, when the negative 34 out of 9 goes to the right, it becomes positive. So it becomes 34 out of 9. And then we need, since we are looking for the value of x and we have this square, we need to remove it. To remove it, we find the square root of both sides. So we do, I want you to find the square root and the square root for the other side. So on the left, when you find the square root of a square, you are just left with whatever you are squaring. So in this case, on the left, we remain with x plus 4 out of 3 is equals to, then here we are still going to have the square root of 34 out of 9. So to find the value of x, also remember the square root of something is either plus or minus, right? Because negative 2, then all of that squared will still give you 4, and 2 squared will still give you 4. So this is supposed to be plus or minus the square root of 34 out of 9. Then to find the value of x, we are going to take this 4 out of 3 to the other side. So on the left, we remain with x is equals to, when the 4 out of 3 goes to the right, it becomes negative. So minus 4 out of 3, and then plus or minus the square root of 34 out of 9. Okay, so x is either equals to negative 4 out of 3 plus the square root of 34 out of 9, or x is equals to negative 4 out of 3 minus the square root of 34 out of 9. So I'll use my calculator to get these values. So the first one is negative 4 out of 3 plus the square root, plus the square root of 34 divided by 9. So the first case, I get 0.6103, or in the second case, so negative 4 out of 3 minus 34 minus the square root of 34 divided by 9. In the second case, I get negative 3.2770. Okay, now we go back to the question. We had been told that we give our answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so we go back to our values of x. Now this first one, so to get the significant figures, you always start from the left, right? Then you count towards the right. So this first one, it's starting with a 0. So the 0 is not significant. So we start with the 6. So you count, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So the next number is a 3, which is less than 5. So we are not going to do anything. So we are just going to take 0.610. So either x is equals to 0.610, or in the second one, again, we start from the left. So this time we have a 3. Yeah, that's significant. So we count 1, 2, 3. Then we check this next number. This is a 7. So this means we need to add a 1 to the previous one. So this becomes negative 3.28. X is equals to negative 3.28. And these are the two values for x. Thanks for watching and have a great day.